My name is Candice. I graduated from UCO with a degree in psychology and a minor in sociology, and I'm here today. I'm going to tell you my opinion with a little bit of statistics behind it as well. We have black people who are scared to go to the doctor still to this day because they have this notion that they are going to be perceived a certain way, which is true. They will be perceived a certain way, and so that's why it's imperative that we get black people to become doctors and lawyers and things like that, so that they have that same background and that same understanding, so that when a black person goes to the doctor and they're a little hostile, they don't take it as being bipolar or having a certain type of illness, and instead they'll see that that's just the way that they express themselves. I think mental health issues isn't discussed because it's hard to digest. It's hard for people to swallow. One thing is that mental health and mental diseases is something that is established. It's something that is set into play to identify something. It's because we as people are naturally curious, and we want to have an answer to everything. So we do that in a way to where, okay, because a person is a certain way, we're going to go ahead and diagnose that and give it a name. We're going to label this as being ADHD. We're going to label this as being bipolar. So it's a way to have a better grasp for people to understand it. So it's just a hard thing to discuss because it's not even researched far enough to where people can fully understand it to the extent that it needs to be talked about. I can't say, as far as all, but as far as ADHD, because I've done a lot of research, I've done a lot of papers on it. I personally think that it's something that's involved around young kids being in an environment of where back in the day, as little kids, we went outside and played. We got all that energy out, where now the kids are forced, they're put in front of a TV, they don't communicate and act with other kids. So if they're standing, and watching TV all day, and then they go to school and they don't have recess anymore, and the teachers are making them sit in their chairs longer, then of course they're going to behave a certain way. So when it is that it's time for them to get out and do something, they're going to overly compensate for that because they're going to want to get that energy out. And if they're not getting it out, then of course they're going to be antsy. They're going to be, they're going to act out. Those things are naturally going to occur. So I think that needs to be addressed in other ways and not just medicine. Well, I can tell you some of the mental illnesses as African American has faced. One of the biggest is schizophrenia, and some of the biggest known things that they diagnose based off is a person is angry. If they are angry, if they snap at an instance, pretty much those are the main things. And so a lot of that misdiagnosing was going on because they never did take the time to understand that, okay, these type of people grew up in a certain type of environment that is different from your standard white, civilization. So those things all differ. Because I think when most people think of post-traumatic stress disorder, they think of a soldier who's been out in war, who's been fighting crime, which yes, that is true. But at the same time, you have people who have lived in urban cities who deal with the same issues of hearing gunshots go off, living in a hostile environment. Those are things that can create post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's something that does and can happen in an inner city. Because when you're growing up in something that's not the natural environment in which you should be in, and you're forced to kind of adapt. It's no way that you can possibly and truly adapt to that situation. You can kind of cope for it, but it's going to be something that's always going to be there unless you become aware of those issues. I think that therapy is a good option. It is a good route because it allows you to talk about your problems and not be judged, because I feel like in the black community, people are afraid to talk about what's going on in their life because they feel like the person that they are opening themselves up to are going to judge them and going to perceive them a certain way. But when you go and sit down into counseling, that the job of that counselor or therapist is to look at you, and to not judge you and be open to what it is you're trying to say. And I think that being able to verbalize that in front of a counselor is very helpful, and it'll allow them to open up pages and open up themselves to new things and be able to further understand themselves. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I got a YouTube channel. It's Candyholic_kisses, KANDIHOLIC_KISSES. Check me out. Thanks.
What's up?